Hello, and welcome to Girlfriends Talk. We're so excited. We are on our podcast number 3. Woo! I am your co-host, Brandis Daniel.
And I'm your co-host, Sybil Amuti.
And today we have such a great topic. We cannot wait to get into this. Oh, this is going to be a challenging one, Sybil.
I don't want to talk about this, so I'm going to go away, and I'm going to let you do these 30 minutes by yourself.
Oh, no. But how's everything going, Sybil? How's the family?
Oh, my gosh. Family is bananas. My daughter just graduated from her nursery program on abcmouse.com.
On ABC Mouse.
Yes, girl. Her little learning program. She is like super excited about that.
Oh my God.
Yes, we're going to have a graduation dinner. She's 3. My daughter's 3, but she's going on 40. So, yes.
Oh.
And yeah, that's the recent development in our house.
Oh, that is so cute.
What's going on with Rich?
Well, Rich is good. But I am excited because my niece just turned 16.
Nice. Oh, I saw she had a sweet 16.
So I didn't get a chance to make it to Memphis, but my niece, my older niece, sent me like a play-by-play of the Sweet 16 party.
She looked beautiful.
She was so cute.
Oh my gosh.
I'm excited. I know my sister is super excited that the party is just over.
I know.
Because my niece has literally been talking about this for 2 years.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Oh, so
and her vision did not change. She knew exactly what she wanted, how she wanted her invitations to go out. And she's been talking about the exact same thing for 2 years. So when my sister was complaining, I was like, you had 2 years to plan.
I just want to acknowledge that when I was 16, I got no party.
It
was not sweet. It was very normal. I went and got a job at Baskin Robbins near my house in Whitehaven, and I got a car. So
girl, that's great.
Yeah, but like it wasn't like this whole dream MTV Sweet 16 thing.
I know, but you got a car.
I got a car, but I had to help pay for it. I mean, all was not bad, but I'm just saying these kids are getting cars and parties.
Oh, they are. I did a slumber party for my Sweet 16.
Love it.
At a hotel.
What?
With my mom in the room.
What? I'm just saying.
It wasn't that great.
It was nothing.
It was a sweet, but it was nice.
It was a regular day of the week for me, child.
That is hilarious. That is hilarious. So, Sib, I am so excited. We're going to dig right in today. And a topic that we're going to talk about today is failure.
No! I don't want to talk about my failures. I'm perfect.
Because, I was just thinking about it. Like, the thing that holds us back is like we're so afraid of failing.
Absolutely.
And so I think we just need to look failure in the eye and just talk about it. So
very true.
I'm not gonna hold back. I'm just gonna dig right in, Sib.
Okay.
What do you think has been what have you considered your biggest failure, or what felt like the biggest failure to you at the time?
Oh,
you were going
MG. Okay, so are these internal or external failures? Because I have internally failed myself like a lot. You want me to talk about the difference in the two?
You can talk about both.
My biggest internal failure was talking myself out of doing things. Like that has been a failure that I've struggled with for years, is rationalizing dreams. That's a complete failure. And I've done it for a number of years, to the point that it almost plagued me in a sense that I felt like parts of my life were just way too logical. I created too many places of logic and not enough places of passion. Wow. And that was a huge internal failure.
Wow.
And I did that from probably age 18 up to age 35.
Wow.
Oh, I just gave my age. But anyway, or close to my age. But yeah, so that was my biggest internal failure. My biggest external failure was in 1999. I went to a casting here in New York. I was with an agency, a very well-known agency here in New York. I went to a casting for The Gap, and I was called back for the casting against another person who got the job, and I, from that point, walked away from modeling then and never turned back.
Wow.
And she went on to build a very great career.
Can you tell us who it is?
Her name is Joy Bryant.
Oh, wow.
Right? Flunky me.
Wow.
But I measured my worth against that moment, and I decided that that moment was bigger than what I knew was possible. So I let that one moment define so much about whether or not it was worth it for me to pursue things that I knew were a part of me. And that was probably my biggest failure.
Wow. Okay, so you said your biggest internal failure was basically, I guess, realizing some of the dreams that you had.
I was talking myself out of them.
And so what changed?
You know, this is not a plug at all, but literally I went to a Tony Robbins conference.
Okay.
And at his conference, I learned a lot about the meanings that I placed on some of the things that I've experienced in my life, some of the emotions or disempowering and empowering beliefs. And I told myself that I had to be a certain type of person to dream. I wasn't raised in a family or in a lifestyle where dreams were fueled or we were encouraged to dream. My parents always encouraged us to have certainty. So the way you get certainty is you graduate high school, you go to a great college, you get that college degree, you go get a master's if you want, preferred, but if you want. And then after that, you go get a great job and you work that job until you retire. Okay. And then after you retire, you do what you want.
Wow.
And that was it. And that's the formula. Wow. So, but that felt very foreign to me. I just never knew how to explore it until I went to this conference and I learned about all of the ways that I have limited myself from exploring my creative side. And I would dabble in it here and there, but never had enough to go full force.
Wow. Yeah. Because I would have never, I knew you before you were 35.
Right.
And I never would have said that. I would have said that you were going after what you wanted to do.
Dabbling.
Wow.
That's the crazy thing. There's so much more that people just don't know about. And there's so much more that I'm discovering and that I feel more freedom to talk about now than I've ever done before. But it's only because I've done the emotional work. I've learned that I'm not a failure. Right. And that, you know, a failure is not truly a failure. It's an optical illusion. And that a failure is behind you. It's not ahead of you. Right. So how can it limit where you're going?
Okay, so you just said something really interesting. You said a failure is behind you, not in front of you. But I think sometimes we project, right? Yes. So it's like you don't want to go for something because you literally put the failure there before it even happens.
Absolutely.
I mean, how do you kind of push through that?
I put the failure in my past. So I give my past a really big bucket where I can drop all of these negative emotions that do not empower my future. I shelf things. I toss them behind me. I toss it. So when I look at, for example, the stage I'm in now in my life where I'm really in an open road in terms of what lies ahead, I realize there's nothing in front of me that I get to paint that picture. There's no failure there unless I take a memory that happened in 1999 and put it in front of me in 2015 and make it a fixture. Then it creates a roadblock. Wow. But if I don't do it, it's not there.
Even just thinking about that, I was like, okay, my future is a blank slate. But what happened, I know what happens for me is that sometimes I think about my future, but I think about some of the other failures that have happened over the years of things I perceived as a failure. And I kind of sometimes put those things as a possibility for the future.
Yeah.
Which then creates fear.
Yes. Which then prohibits, and you don't do anything. Right. Yes. You paralyze at that point, and you're doing nothing. You go back to work.
Wow.
Or back to some relationship, or you go back and get into bed. You stop living.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I would say, like, on the course of being an entrepreneur, that is something you're constantly fighting. Like, it's like a daily struggle. You know, people kind of, I think, see entrepreneurs and they see the things you accomplish and they assume that you don't have any fear of moments. Yeah, you don't have those moments. I recently was talking to one of my friends and she worked in fashion, still kind of does, but had a really great career in fashion and just started her business. And she was like, Brandis, do you she's like, I've been crying a lot lately. And she's not that type of a person. And I told her, I said, look, here's the thing that people don't tell you. There are times as an entrepreneur where you feel like you've bitten on way more than you can chew, that I personally have wanted to like get under the bed and pretend like none of it existed.
Yeah.
And was like, no, I'm not dealing with any real thing in life right now. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes you feel like the weight of a decision is so enormous and will have such a great impact that we make it a failure.
Right.
But truly, you never really know the long-term weight of a decision until the end.
It's true.
You think that it was such a failure, but in all actuality, it was actually a stepping stone. It was a pivot. It was a catapult. It was an igniter. It was something that pushed you. It could be a moment of inspiration. It just depends on your perception of it.
Right.
So, and what your goal was at the moment. But it's very easy to take, a trip, a trip on the, a walking trip, or excuse me, a stumble,
right,
and make it into this hole,
right,
this complete hole that you just fall into and make it hard to get out of.
Right. And we don't really even give ourselves an opportunity to fail.
No.
And that is what's so crazy.
We don't make space for it. So when it happens, we get so shocked because we told ourselves that the world we're in or the world we create has to be perfect.
Right.
But the truth of the matter is there is so much more power and passion in the realm of uncertainty. And failure lies in the realm of uncertainty because we know for sure that we don't plan on failing. So when these uncertain things happen, we perceive it as a failure.
Right.
But the truth of the matter is it's actually a gateway to opening us up to a new perception on the same scenario.
And sometimes a new life.
Absolutely.
Because I remember when I first got out of college, I worked for a home builder. I worked for an insurance company first. Then I worked for a home builder. And the home building company, they closed. And so for me, I was like, great, the company closed. This is my opportunity to get in fashion, which is what I really wanted to do in the first place. But no one was calling me back. I was sending so many resumes to like all of these crazy places all over the country. Like I was willing to move anywhere. I was like, I will move to Iowa. Like I will move to like anywhere and just get experience. I wanted to be a buyer. And I could not find a job, so I didn't have money. And so I had to move back to Memphis from Atlanta. And even now, when I think about that, to be honest with you, there is still, that moment in time still carries such an emotion for me. It really does. I can remember exactly what I was feeling. I was listening to Yolanda Adams every single day, like every single day, like that, the same old tape. Yes, I was listening to a tape. Oh my God. And I was the same one every single day. And I was at the time working at Brooks Brothers part-time, and I was filing papers part-time.
Wow.
With my college degree.
Yes.
Like after I had been with a job making, I think I was making like $36,000 a year, which at 22, that was a lot. And I just was like, I am such a big fat failure. Like, and it doesn't help, moving back to a place like Memphis from Atlanta, because people are like, oh, you're back.
Yeah. What happened?
Yeah. It's like, oh, I thought you were off to do the big city and now you're back with us.
Yeah.
And it was this, just getting through that piece of it and people perceiving me as a failure. All of it was just so incredibly tough.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that period was so tough.
Yeah.
But what's funny is it actually was what assisted me in transitioning to what my life would be.
Yeah.
Like, had I not gone through that, I don't think that I would be where I am today. Like, it was such a humbling experience for me that it changed so much about who I am as a person, and it changed my character.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you probably built a lot of stamina. You probably built a lot of courage. You probably built a lot of strength, and you probably started to learn yourself more.
I did.
Yeah, there's so much you didn't know you had.
It's true. Because I got to a place where when people would ask me what I was doing in Memphis, I would say I'm working at McDonald's. Mm-hmm. And the reason I would say that was because I had gotten over what people's perception was. I was just like, I'm so tired of people asking me this question because they weren't asking me to really
give you a job.
Yeah, or to know. They were just like, girl, what you doing back? Like, and, what are you doing here? Mm-hmm. And I'd be like, I work at McDonald's.
Right.
Because I was just like, you know what? And my girlfriend, I remember I had a friend who it concerned her so much what people's perception was of me.
Okay.
And I would tell her, you tell people I work at McDonald's too. It's just
your PR agent.
Yeah, and
go back and tell them.
Yeah, so it was just an interesting place in my life, and I just think about now, even building Harlem's Fashion Row. Some of my failures was not getting sponsorship. I remember, what that felt like, not getting enough money for sponsorship and trying to figure out like how was I going to pay for the rest of that event, and I just felt like that was like the biggest failure ever. And now I realize, wow, I learned so much from that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What do you think is your biggest life failure? Your number one?
Ooh.
If you had to name one.
My biggest life failure?
Yeah. That one where you like, okay, I messed up.
My biggest life failure.
Or better yet, maybe something that that you could have done better that you carried guilt from.
Let me think about that. I mean, okay, so the reason why I'm struggling right now. So when I went through therapy for a year, I actually worked through
all of that.
A lot of this. I literally did. I worked through so much of this.
Yeah.
But if I can think now, like one of my biggest kind of disappointing things for me is that my sister went through so much when we were younger. Oh God, I hope I don't get emotional. And when I hear her talk about people not being there for her, unfortunately, I was one of those people.
Okay.
And as the tears are coming, that is something that if I could go back and change, I would change.
Okay.
Because I don't know if I knew any better then, but I just think about the role I could have played in her healing, but I didn't.
Yeah. Oh, I understand that for sure.
Yeah.
I understand that. I have a sister who had her own, set of things that she went through, and it was hard for her and it was hard for her family.
Yeah.
And I took a role, and I don't even know if it was the best one. I just took one that kept me safe.
I did too. Yeah. There was like so many times where I could have like stood up for her that I didn't. And I just, and so she's still going through some things emotionally. But the great thing is that she will call me to talk about them. And so I try to fix it now. But I just, that's something that was definitely a big fat failure on my part.
Yeah. So then, I mean, you move past it in one way, but there's still a piece of you that when you feel like you have a failure or something that you could have done better, you always want to try to fix it. And sometimes you find yourself trying to fix it in that one scenario. And if you can't fix it in that scenario because the moment has passed, like maybe it's not a sister, maybe it is a friend or something where you had a chance to fix it, you didn't fix it. So now you find yourself out fixing with other people. Have you ever experienced that?
I am actually not a fixer.
Nice.
Nice. I mean, again, I really take it back to, I'm like, Leah Santana helped to get me right on so many levels. But I mean, I think I used to like overcompensate for certain things, or I used to act out of guilt or perform out of guilt, right? And
that's big.
even with my sisters, but going through therapy and dealing with all of that, I really kind of, I don't feel the need to do that anymore. I really don't. I actually know that, I make the best decisions for me. I treat you right, but at the same time, I won't be bound to treating you a certain way out of guilt. So it was, I don't know. Therapy was just, and if you know me, I talk about therapy all the time, but it was like such a release for me. I released so much. There's some issues me and my mom had in our relationship. I released those things. And
so let me ask you this, because if there's someone who's listening that doesn't have the access to go to therapy, what is that tool that you took away that you're able to apply that made the difference for you? Like, what is it? Is there anything that you took away that was like a mental practice or an emotional practice that you've been able to utilize so that when Liz is not there, well, Liz is always there. Liz, if you're listening, we know you're always there. But, if you needed to just have it with you in a moment, you're able to create responses that are healthy for you.
I don't know. I don't know if there's a tool. I really think for me, it was like talking through a lot of it and acknowledging it. So sometimes we're in these like codependent relationships and we don't even realize that that's what they are.
Yeah.
And people have had us bound for so long that we don't even realize that it's not normal.
Yeah.
We think that it's like the normal thing. And a lot of times it's family. And, I think the biggest thing is like accepting people for who they are. And not feeling the need to change. That was the biggest thing from like my mom. Like my mom doesn't love the way that I expect her to love, but it was for me like accepting who she was and then even understanding like how she grew up. And so the things that I wanted from her, I was told to start giving that to her. So things that I wanted so bad from her that I was like harboring like resentment from because I didn't get it, I started to give those things. And that like changed everything.
Okay.
And I know that it doesn't apply to every relationship, but for that one in particular, I would say like the things you're not getting, like build up the courage to actually give those things. And that's not easy to do.
Wow. No, it's true. It's probably the hardest thing to do.
It is.
But somehow it's the most rewarding.
It is.
It is. It definitely is the most rewarding.
And it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's very uncomfortable. If you didn't grow up in a household where you guys said, I love you. So for you to be the first one to start saying it is
awkward.
Very, very uncomfortable and very awkward. But it gets easier the more you do it.
Right. So then tell me this, because I feel like there are some of us, I think we have, we have two groups of people. We have the first group of people who is almost like this achiever audience, right? These people that are so on a track and pressing forward and very uncomfortable with failure to the point that failure feels like the end. And that it means you're imperfect or that which you already are, but a lot of people don't know that. So surprise on that one. And then there's this other group of people that feel like they are failures and will say that that's just who they are. Like they're very comfortable with failure and they come to assume failure out of situations because they don't know any different. Their mom may have been somewhat of a perceived failure at something, or their father, or they have been in a cycle of failure. So that's just what they know. So for each group is, failure has a different place. For those people that are in a rut where failure is just a part of their life, how do they get out of that?
I think you fake it till you make it.
Okay.
I really do. I always tell people, like, when people say things like, one of my interns say, I'm all over the place. And I'm all over the place and I got a million. And I'm like, don't say that. Like, it's like, your words have power.
Yeah.
So when you start speaking differently, something about your being starts to change.
Yeah.
And you can just start with that. Like, just speak something into existence that is not there, you know, and that's part faith too, right? And then you have to really start thinking differently. And so part of that for me is reading certain books.
Yeah.
So I'll start aligning my mindset with certain books that inspire me. Like if I need to get to a certain place, I'll read a certain book.
Right. Oh, so that's great. So what I hear you saying is that you'll find a blueprint. You find someone or something that embodies the outcome or the result that you're looking for, and then you read about that, you study it so that you can emulate it a bit.
Absolutely.
No, I totally think that's the way to do it. And I see people doing it in different ways, but I think that there's a long path on doing it. You have to do that consistently.
Oh, God, yes.
You get to one point, you realize, okay, I'm not satisfied here. I actually want to go higher. I want to go to another level in life, or I want to make more progress. Then you have to find someone who went to another level. And you have to keep doing that.
Keep pushing.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, even now, I feel like I'm way too comfortable. Like, I am way too comfortable. So what I decided today was that I'm going to draft an email to an old coach. So I had a business coach for like a year or two. And so I said, I'm going to draft an email to my old coach, and it's going to basically project what I'm going to eventually send that email to him. And what it's going to say, because I have a revenue goal for myself. I'm basically going to tell him in that email how I've met my revenue goal, even though now in the physical I haven't. And now that I've met this revenue goal, I'm ready to start back meeting with him so that he can now help coach me on how to invest my finances.
Nice.
And I was like, I'm just going to type him that email up. I'm going to put it in my drafts, and I'm going to know it's there. And the act of me doing that is going to push me.
Yeah. No, it really will. It really will. And it'll hold you accountable.
Yeah.
Like that part is what's really helpful too. I love that.
You got to keep pushing. It's like it's constantly like pushing yourself.
Right.
Constantly. Yeah. So I don't know if that hit on failure or not.
No, it did, because it's like how to avoid some of the pitfall, of failure is to stop pushing because you feel like the resistance is too much.
Yes.
So
a great book. A great book that a friend of mine and author Kevin Elliott just recommended to me is the what is it? The War of Art. And in that book, it talks about how we all face resistance and how that's like, I don't know if it uses the word enemy, but that's like the enemy is that we all face this resistance when we want to like get to the next place. And that's what we have to fight through. That's true. It's that resistance. Yeah.
That's true.
So what's our big lesson?
I love it. Well, the big lesson for me that I would tell anybody is that, failure is not the end of something.
It's not.
And there always has to be a mission, a purpose, or an outcome that's bigger than, the circumstances that create failures. Yeah. So if one of my missions is to help inspire the world, well, if one person doesn't feel inspired, I'm not a failure. There's still over how many billion people remaining that I've yet to get to.
It's so true.
So I'm not a failure.
It's so true.
So I have to create a mission, I feel, that is bigger, that is great enough for me to always have opportunity to be successful at it.
Yeah.
That way, these small things that happen will not be such a big deal.
I agree. I agree.
What about you? What do you think?
I think actually give yourself permission to fail. Like, I think that getting to a place where you never want to fail, then you always live this very safe life. Yeah. I think that you have to kind of push yourself and be like, you know what? I'm going to pray and believe that this thing is going to succeed. But I mean, failure is an option if you're going for something that's like really big and unattainable. And but I think there's so much fun in that too, because I don't think you really, really get a chance to see like what God can do until you like jump way out there. Yeah. I remember when I did our very first show at Jazz at Lincoln Center, and that was such a huge move. It was basically taking a fashion show that cost me $10,000 and going to a fashion show that cost me $70,000, $80,000. And and it was such a huge thing, but and it could have totally failed. There were so many opportunities for that thing to fail. Yeah. But I mean, I would have never known what the possibilities were had I not put myself in a position to be like, this might fail. And however, I never thought it would fail.
Yeah.
But taking that big of a step, I mean, realistically,
most people would have said
there was an opportunity to do that. But I think you have to like be like, you know what? Either I'm gonna go big or go home kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, but I'm not gonna not fail because I'm like wading in 2 feet water.
Yeah.
Like,
that's good.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, if I'm a fail, at least let me fail in like the deep water. Like, what's the point of failing in 2 feet water? Like, that just sucks.
You weren't even in the deep.
It's like, exactly. At least let it be something big. Like, let's go for it if we're going to go.
The other part of that too, I think, like you said, give yourself permission to fail and take the shame away from failure.
Yeah.
You are not the first or the last person on this earth to have a failure.
It's true.
So honestly, there's no real shame that a person should take and associate with something that didn't turn out as planned.
Yeah, and the thing I think we're so afraid of is what people are going to say.
Yes, kill all that.
And the thing is, people aren't willing to do it themselves.
I can tell you right now, they're going to have a lot to say. They're going to have a lot of opinions, good, bad, and horrible, and they're going to judge you. But so what?
Yeah.
Who are they?
Yeah, and at the end of the day, when it succeeds, they're going to be like, oh my God.
They're going to have a lot to say.
That was so great. And so you can't get attached to any of it.
No. They're as fickle as the wind.
Yeah.
You know, honestly, it has to be about what it means to you.
Yeah.
Like what it means to you, how it serves your bigger mission.
Absolutely.
And giving yourself that grace to say, you know what, on this journey, on this thing that I'm doing, I have space. I've created some space for that uncertain place of failure and success, however it comes.
Yeah.
And I think you should also let other people participate in your failure and your success.
Oh, man,
So
yes.
when you feel like you hit a bottom, call that lifeline and be like, let me tell you how I royally jacked this up.
Yeah, completely. I mean,
and laugh about it. You
Yeah.
know, like you have to be willing to be like, let me tell you how I messed up the following.
It's true.
Own it.
It's true. And it helps. Like, people want to be a part of your journey. You have to let people in. And I also think, like, you know, I mean, I kind of touched on faith, but I don't know if, you know, there's so many of us that really believes in God, but I don't know if we ever really give him a chance to do something incredible in our lives.
Yeah.
You know, we kind of like, we like
plan it to the T.
We like plan it to the T. Like, we don't really give him an opportunity to do something, to do a miracle. We're like, oh, we never seen a miracle, but girl, what have you done?
Yeah.
You know, like,
So,
you know, I mean, going back to that show at Jazz at Lincoln Center, I got the money for that show 3 weeks before it was to happen. And everything was planned, invites out, articles written, like the whole 9, but the money came from it 3 weeks before.
Wow.
And that was like a complete miracle.
Yeah.
It was like, and even the way the money came, like money, that big of a check don't come direct deposit.
Right.
Like, girl, no, there's a process.
Yeah.
But it did for me.
Wow.
You know, so it's like, but that was giving, I feel like it was giving faith and opportunity to work. It was an opportunity for God to show me how big he was.
Yeah.
And not just me, like, I can actually tell you now, like, how big he is and like how he'll come through. But how would I ever be able to do that had I not stepped out there into the deep water? Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be foreign to you.
Totally. Yeah.
Wow.
So.
Love it. Love it. Well, I think my final word is that you're not a failure. You're not a failure. I'm not a failure. We might have moments where we fail at something, but it is not ultimately the end of who we are and what we're destined to be.
Absolutely.
Love it.
Yeah, that's it.
All right. Well, this has been Podcast 3 Ladies. Of course, we'd love to hear from you on our Facebook page and our Twitter feed. We want you tweeting all day, all night about the girlfriends and what we're talking about. And we want to hear questions from you that you'd like to have us talk about on our podcast. So don't forget about us. Tell your friends about us. Be sure to share. And last but not least, we love you and we're signing off.
We're out. All right.